It was a November to remember in the hockey card hobby, followed by the release of the cup to kick off December. We've got an interview with CardLadder's Josh Johnson on tap for today. You're listening to the Hockey Card Haven podcast. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. This is episode 61 of the Hockey Card Haven podcast. This is a weekly show diving deep into the world of hockey card collecting, flipping, and investing. Just a reminder that this podcast is free and available on Spotify as well as on Apple Podcasts. And of course, you can subscribe to the show on YouTube as well. I'm your host, Mike Distefano, Anthony Santini, my co-host. What's going on, pal? How you feeling?
What's up, dude? Good start to December. Nasty shutout by Jesper Wallstedt last night. I was watching that game, watched a little bit of the Vegas game, watched a little bit of the Leafs game. So ton of hockey this week I've been able to take in, and to top the night off with a Jesper Wallstedt shutty. Love that. So it's been a big week of hockey, and I've enjoyed every little bit of it.
Something tells me you either have Wallstedt in fantasy or you've got a stockpile of Wallstedt cards somewhere in your collection. One of those two have to be possible, considering that that's how you decide to start the show. Shout out Jesper Wallstedt.
I honestly can't lie. It's even worse than you would expect. I drafted Jesper Wallstedt with the last pick in my fantasy draft, and I dropped him after Gustafsson signed that extension with Minnesota, thinking that he wouldn't play as many games as I anticipated. So it's even worse than you'd imagine. So every day and every game that he plays well is just a reminder of that decision I made on November 17th.
Well, how's his market performing? Like, I'd imagine since then he's absolutely exploded. He's been, one of the best goaltenders. He's got 4 shutouts this year, like in his last 6 games. Like, the guy just doesn't allow pucks to get past him. He's been unbelievable. And actually beat Colorado. Like, no one beats Colorado.
Oh, Minnesota's been on a tear, too. I mean, this doesn't even discredit Gustafsson. He's been great, but Wallstedt's just been outstanding. Yeah. In the last 6 games, he's had 4 shutties. And I know I wanted to get into it a little bit later, but, his card prices have surged, almost doubled, tripled. Future Watch autos going from 60 all the way to 180. It's ridiculous. And usually we don't see this too much of a reaction for a goaltender in a market that doesn't really favor goaltenders. We kind of talk about it, how it leans to aid for goal scorers more than goaltenders and defenders, but this has been crazy stuff from Jesper Wallstedt.
Yeah, no, he's been on a tear. We'll see if he can continue to play this way. We've seen a lot of good young goaltenders show up this season. Goalies in general. You look at the top 5 in save percentage. It's not names you would expect. Let's just say that. It's Jesper Wallstedt, Logan Thompson, Scott Wedgwood, Brandon Bussey, Casey DeSmith. Those are the top 5 in goals against average. And those same top 5 also in terms of league-wide best save percentage in the NHL. Wallstedt is number 1 with a 944 save percentage and a 174 goals against average. So you would expect for his market to tick up, and it certainly has over the course of November. I know you want to get into it later. We might not get to the exchange, but I mean, like you said, going from $60 to $185 for his Future Watch Young Guns, absolutely exploding. You could have got his Young Guns for what, $60 in October for a PSA 10, and what did it sell for yesterday? $250?
$50. Like, that's nuclear. That's crazy gains, man. Gains.
Yeah, the sustainability though, that's one that I do question, but we'll see. But good on Wallstedt and good on the Minnesota Wild. Man, we got right into like the market talk there, eh? With Jesper Wallstedt, got right into the nitty gritty. But I think it just goes to show where the hobby's at. Like, people are completely bought in to the hobby right now, and there were some monster sales in November. Like, we're coming off a massive month in the hobby. There was a big time Bedard card that sold the other day. There was a massive Celebrini sale the other day, and that's not even talking about the type of stuff that was going on, in November at the Expo as well. So, we're just seeing this hobby just continue to grow, and the growth has been exceptional realistically over the course of the last couple of years. 6% year-to-date growth in the hockey card index, according to CardLadder. Speaking of CardLadder, Josh Johnson, one of the co-founders of CardLadder, going to join us on the show in a little bit. So make sure you stay tuned. That's going to be a fun conversation. If you have not subscribed to CardLadder yet, maybe after you listen to what he has to say, maybe he can sell you on it. I know that I'm a big proponent, big fan of CardLadder for anyone who wants to take this hobby, seriously. And pretty sure we convinced Anthony to sign up a couple of days ago. So Anthony now also a CardLadder subscriber. So excited to have that chat in a few minutes here. But I want to show a couple of massive sales that we've had in the month of November. Now that we've exited the month, I guess, kind of look back on it using CardLadder. Actually, funny enough, shout out to CardLadder. But look at what we've seen here. This is, oh wait, hold on. I had the other sales going on. What I want to look up here, right? The Bedard Future Watch Auto. There's a sale that just sold $12,600, $12,600 on November 30th, 2025. That's a new record high on a PSA 10 Connor Bedard Future Watch Auto. Previously, the record of that was 12.1, and that was all the way back in 2024, closer to when it came out. So we are now seeing Connor Bedard and his cards, his market, get back to those highs. Like, we're now finally seeing record sales again, which I wasn't sure if we were ever going to see that. What we saw recently with his market, over the last couple of years is it's just gone down, 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 down. But it's been going up over the course of his hot start. He's second in the league in points. He's scoring beautiful goals left, right, and center. And now we have a brand new record high sale for a PSA 10 Future Watch Auto eclipsing $12,000. I mean, what does this mean for the Bedard market? Is the Bedsy market back? Is everyone who bought high just elated to see that we're starting to see the big cards really start to go? And now maybe there is some money to be made for those who bought high and bought heavy out of the gate.
Well, I think too, even for like some of his high-end cards, like his Future Watch, like you mentioned, some of the highest sales that we've seen since 2024. So
the highest sale, literally November 30th, the highest ever sale on a non-inscribed Future Watch Auto of Connor Bedard just sold 4 days ago. So not 2024 when it first released. It is now more expensive today than it was when it first released. And I'd never thought that we'd be saying that based on the insane hype around Bedard when his stuff was coming out back in 24.
Oh, that's just nuts too. I'm looking at CardLadder as well, like you mentioned, looking at some of his Future Watch Auto sales and looking back in September. I mean, geez, like these things are really dropping. It almost seemed like in the summer people were starting to have those conversations about Bedard, and yeah, he's not. It'd be a long shot for him to make Team Canada, and maybe he isn't as much of the goal scorer that we expected him to be. Maybe he isn't this generational talent, but the sales now are reflecting what everyone else is watching on the ice. And it's just been an absolute pleasure to watch Connor Bedard this year. He's just absolutely taken it over and, really fallen into his own with the Chicago Blackhawks this year. I was looking at a sale the other day that M4 Card Store in Hamilton had. And for anyone watching on YouTube, this was posted in, I believe, the middle of August. So an MNT 9.5 Connor Bedard Future Watch Auto. And I know there's a little bit of a discrepancy with this autograph versus full autograph. I know that was a conversation when they initially came out, but $1,900 in an MNT 9.5. I know there haven't been any sales of any MNT 9.5 recently, but November 24th, a PSA 9 Connor Bedard Future Watch sold for $5,000. So apples to oranges here a little bit with grading companies, but to put in perspective, all in all, his market has just gone nuclear.
Well, I mean, there's a raw sale from a couple of days ago of $3,500, so you can buy it raw for $3,500. There's a BGS 9 sale of $3,300 on November 23rd. I would put an M&T 9.5 kind of in that category, probably. I would think so. Yeah, $1,900 card back in August. You could have picked that up for, and today it's worth $3,000. I would say probably 3,000 to 3,500. I mean, there's a raw sale at 3,500, so I guess that's where it starts. Maybe it's a 4K card realistically, if you've got some appreciation for M&T, which I know a lot of Canadians know what it is. The Americans not as much. But yeah, it just goes to show, man, his market is on fire. And he's on fire, right? Like, it's just the hype, man, the hype behind Connor Bedard. And I think he's at a point where he's pushing for Team Canada too. And if he starts putting up numbers like this overseas when he goes to the Olympics, I mean, like, is there still more growth available in a Connor Bedard market? That's, I guess, kind of maybe the next question is, like, have we hit a point where the hype and the skill is at an all time, or like, is there still some room to grow here for Bedsy?
I mean, I think for the skill, there's still a ton of room to grow. I know we haven't seen the exact numbers yet for him after a full season, like these 50 goal years or 100-point seasons, but I'm sure those are 2 or 3 years around the corner. I mean, heck, he could even put up 100 points this year. I know his pace was at one point, I believe when it was 14 games in, looking, it was for him to get like 105 points. It was something ridiculous, but
More than
the
that now, I
talent
think.
the talent is definitely there for Connor Bedard. I don't know if the market has a lot of room to keep growing. I can expect that, especially if he does make Team Canada. The market will continue to grow up until that point, but I don't really see him making the team, playing a huge role, and then Chicago maybe making a playoff run. Like, those are all the things that I would think would have to continue to happen for his market to grow even more.
He's on pace for 120 points, by the way.
Whew,
Yeah. Yeah.
insane.
120 points. See how many goals he's on pace for. He's got 17 so far in 26 at an 82 game basis. That's 53 goals. So if this guy puts up 53 goals, 120 points, yeah, I think there's a good chance that Bedard's market can continue to go upward. I really do think that could be the case. We also saw a sale of another young up-and-coming player who I also think probably will end up at the Olympics playing for Team Canada. A couple days ago, there was a sale that just, to me, made no sense. It actually, like, it was bananas what this card went for. It was a Macklin Celebrini Gold Outburst 1 of 1, but it was his second year outburst. So basically, we're looking at a second year base card. It's a 1 of 1, but like, it's a second year base 1 of 1. And it's sold, Anthony, for $18,570 at auction from Savage Cards. 18,500 on a Macklin Celebrini base 1 of 1. Like, it's a gold outburst, sure, but that's an insane price for someone to pay. Do you think there's going to be buyer's remorse on whoever won this auction?
Oh man, that's crazy. 100% there's going to be buyer's remorse. I don't know where the upside of picking up this card for $18,000 is. I mean, it's not even a rookie. It's crazy.
I know. I know.
I don't understand, and I know you're going to pull up the Connor Bedard 1 of 1 second year that sold as well. For a little bit of a reference, double the price of the Connor Bedard, which is just ridiculous. I understand that, the market is reflecting the play on the ice right now, and people are trying to pick up Celebrini because he's playing so well and because his prices have shot up that much. But $18,000, I mean, the Bedard did $9,000. It's crazy.
That's where I'm confused. And not just Bedard, but like, you got Macklin going for 18.5. But you look back, you got a Bedard second year going for $9,600 for Connor Bedard. Now, that was back in February. His market has definitely grown exponentially since then. But the one that really I kind of look at and I'm like, how is this even a thing, is Connor McDavid. His gold outburst 1 of 1, sold last year. One sold for $9,100. That was during the Stanley Cup run, actually. And then in January of last year, it sold for $8,400 for a gold 1 of 1, base gold 1 of 1 outburst of Connor McDavid. So, like, to me, that should be kind of the ceiling. Like, if you want to pay $8,000 to $10,000 on a McDavid 1 of 1 gold outburst, non-rookie, sure, okay, that makes some sense. But to pay $18,500 on a non-rookie 1 of 1 of Macklin, that's outrageous.
Okay.
One that doesn't have an auto, doesn't have, like, what do you think? So the cup comes out today, right? What do you think that is cup RPAs are going to go for right out of the gate?
Oh man, This is a tough one too. I did a little bit of research and I wanted to see what Connor Bedard's market was doing just to kind of do a little bit of apples to apples, hyped up rookie and both of them being the out of 99. So I kind of put Connor Bedard averaging around $15,000 when his cards first came out in the Cup RPA to 99. So
Yeah.
as high as 18,000 and as low as 13,000 in the first month of his sales. I could kind of situate Macklin Celebrini around 10,000. I mean, I know that his market has reflected what's been a crazy month and a half for him, and people are really starting to pay up for some of his high end stuff. But I can't imagine that the hype that Connor Bedard had last year compared to what Celebrini has means that Celebrini is going to sell for more this year. I just can't see that. I think that 10,000 is pretty fitting for a Celebrini the Cup.
I mean, fitting, yes, but we're seeing like a lot of insane. Like, what is his future watch patch autos going for right now?
Macklin Celebrini. I think that the last time I looked in the summer, they're going
Yeah,
for around 8 or 9,000.
so one sold the other day for 6,500. So
Okay.
6,500 for yeah, the Celebrini Future Watch Auto. But I think for the FWAP, I think the cup would like the cups are more than that, like worth probably double that, to be honest with you, for a cup RPA. Yeah, I think you're probably in the right stratosphere around 10K at the gate, 10 to 15,000 at the gate probably. But there's so much fanfare right now around Macklin Celebrini. I mean, like I said, someone just paid 18,500 for a gold 1 of 1. It doesn't have an auto. It doesn't have a game used patch on it either. Like that's what's crazy. Like if you play a quick game of this or that, what would you rather? A gold 1 of 1 second year card of Macklin Celebrini, or his premier RPA from the Cup, the Cup RPA number to 99. Like, what would you prefer to? What would you rather have?
I mean, personally, I'd probably have the rookie, the cup. No, like
100%. I don't think it's
I don't
personal.
know.
I would be shocked if anyone said, like, I get it, 1 of 1, that's cool, but give me the auto, give me the game used patch on, on top of it. And there's plenty 1 of 1 non-rookie cards that are going to be made. He's going to have a gold outburst every single season, whether it's a second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year. He's going to have a 1 of 1 gold outburst every year as long as they continue to do these outbursts. So the fact that someone paid $18,500 for this Canadian, we're speaking Canadian, is insane. Just absolutely insane to me. But I'm excited for the Cup. I'm excited for the Cup to come out today. I'm curious to see kind of what those numbers come in at. I think you're probably correct. It's going to be an exciting year, though. Like think about the great kind of rookie class that this has really become, the 24-25 rookie class. You've got obviously Macklin Celebrini. You've got Lane Hudson as well. Let's not forget about Lane Hudson and how much of a hobby driver he's been since he burst onto the scene. You got Matvey Michkov, you've got Cutter Gauthier. Like you've got a lot of good players. Goaltenders. You've got Dobish. You've got Jesper Wallstedt now, who's going to be part of this year's rookie class. I'm quite excited to see what these prices end up being. It's a fun class. It should be a really, really good rip for those who are digging into the Cup, which actually comes out today. Should be a lot of fun to see kind of the pulls that come out of that thing.
Oh, especially even some of the patches too. Obviously, the cards are so nice, but there's a couple rare patches of some high-end cards that you see come out. Like I was looking at some of the Connor Bedard Cup RPAs, and you see a really big premium if a card has like 3 or 4 colors to it, obviously, rather than the napkin. So that's my favorite. When you see just like a beauty Lane Hudson come out with a really nice looking patch. So I'm looking forward to that.
Did you see the actually hang on, let me pull it up. I've got the video that Upper Deck posted on Instagram
Just
yesterday.
speaking of patches.
Yeah, it's all the exquisite patches. And there's some controversy. We'll get to that in a moment. But just look at how gorgeous. I'll zoom in a little bit if I can. Look at how gorgeous these cards are. It's the exquisite patch auto collection here. Obviously, exquisite, massive brand for Upper Deck, and it kind of finishes off in the cup. But look at all the great players. Frank Nazar, 1 of 1. Did you see that? Frank Nazar, 1 of 1. And there's a Connor McDavid to 25. But yeah, the 1 of 1. Did you see the patch on that thing? I'll pause once we get there again. But that thing was gross. $8.95 on the 1 of 1. Obi, yeah, it's a 1 of 1. It's got $8.95 inscribed on it. That's just disgusting. Look at this thing. Look at this. Look at the patch. Look at that patch. Like, that is going to be an insane card for someone to get one day.
Oh man, they should have saved that patch for the Bedsy. Oh my god, imagine that. That would be even crazier.
Oh, I'm sure Bedard's got a patch like that. It's out there. I mean, it's last year's product. Now you got to do this year's product.
Hey, slap it on a 101. But I know you're looking at the Nazar there, but there's something else more interesting that came out of that video.
Yeah, you're talking about the Gretzky?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, let me pull up. Okay, so if you guys recall, there was so here I'm going to show this tab here. So last week we actually talked about it because Upper Deck posted a photo of a Gretzky 1 of 1 exquisite patch auto, and it looked like the most beautiful card that these eyes have ever seen. It was great. The patch was like the oil drop. The autograph was gold on black. It's a 1 of 1, and the auto was so clean. It's like, this thing's going to get a 10 auto, not even without batting an eye. And then that video comes out, and that card that they displayed, that they advertised, is not the card that actually was made. Like, that was just like a fake CGI card that maybe that was their vision and the plan, but that is not what ended up into the boxes. Here's the difference between the two cards. For those who are watching on YouTube, you could see the one on the left is what they advertised a week ago, saying, hey, big card coming out, cups releasing in a week. Be on the lookout for this 1 of 1 Wayne Gretzky exquisite patch auto. And look how beautiful that thing is. It is gorgeous. The patch, the autograph looks absolutely stunning. And then you look at what actually came out of it in that video, and they quickly scanned over it. Like, it's a 1 of 1 still, sure, but the autograph is faded. You can barely even read it. It looks like number 19, not even 99. And that patch isn't even remotely close to as nice as the one on the left here that they originally were showing people. So I don't know, man. That's tough. Like, somebody who maybe didn't see this video or hasn't seen the post of what this looks like and is expecting to pull the one on the left, they're going to be disappointed if they get the one. I mean, they'll still be, don't get me wrong, I'd be ecstatic if I still got any, Gretzky 1 of 1 RPA. Don't get me wrong. But the one on the right, like, that's not even close to as advertised. That honestly, shame on Upper Deck for this. Like, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, obviously, all in all, it's still a beautiful card, but compared to what we were given almost a week, 2 weeks ago, what we thought was going to be coming out, I mean, look at that card on the left. Clean auto, crisp.
It might be one of the best Gretzky cards ever. Like, that might be one of the most beautiful Gretzky cards ever. You look at the one on the left, and then you look at, like, it's the Temu version, right? Like, it's the Temu version on the right? Those memes, what I thought I was getting, what I actually got, like, that's what it is. It's like Upper Deck went shopping at Temu for this Gretzky exquisite patch auto. That's what it feels like to me.
I mean, it's still a unique patch on the right. I mean, I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe a piece of the glove or a shoulder pad, or not from the jersey.
Yeah, I don't love the seams. I'll be honest. Like, the seams don't really do it for me. Like,
I don't hate it, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of, and I know we had this conversation during Expo, how you don't really love the laundry tags. I do like the laundry tag patches, but when you compare it to what could have been, I mean, look at the auto, look at the oil drop. It's very disappointing. I mean, whoever does pull this card is going to be over the moon excited, and I'm sure they're going to a shoot ton of money. But even
until they realize what could have been.
Oh, what it could have been, man, was like you said, I mean, you put it perfectly. Probably the best Gretzky card out there, the most eye appealing, most eye catching. That thing is a beauty. So still a little bit disappointed, but hey, can't always get it right.
Nah, well, you should on a Gretzky 1 of 1 though. Like, why would you even bother putting that card out there if the final product wasn't even remotely close to being as nice? Like, I don't know. Not great. Not good for the optics, I would say, either. But there was also this one as well, which I am pulling up now. There, the Alex Ovechkin card, which is another 1 of 1 Ovi that is available, and it's got inscribed the record goal 895 on April 6th, 2025. Ovi gold, Ovi black 1 of 1, I guess, with the goal inscription. That is going to be a banger of a card as well.
I mean, I love this one. It kind of reminds me of when they did that Ovechkin Young Guns buyback last year, and
Yeah.
I wasn't into it too much because I had a feeling that Upper Deck was just going to absolutely milk this goal record. And I know we had the conversation last year talking about, oh, it's about like the journey and then the buyback, and then he signs it, and then obviously breaking the record. But something like this, I think you're going to see cards like this come out a ton in the next 2 or 3 years through Upper Deck because they're going to try and milk this OV goal record. Now, do I blame them? No. Do I think that it's nice? Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would love to get my hands on a piece like this. And I know my buddy Murray, that's a big Capitals fan, would love to have something like this in his collection in the near future. But would I imagine that this is going to be the last of it? Would I imagine that this is going to be the last 1 of 1 where he inscribes it along the lines of the goal record? No.
No.
But this thing is just a beauty. I think it's cool too that they're starting to take pictures of the athlete with the card. It's kind of like
Yeah.
where they got the idea from the Connor Bedard Young Guns canvas, which I didn't like
Yeah.
at first, but it started to grow on me with how unique it is.
Well, I think too, it just you can market them that way. Like, I think that's just the way you want to market your cards. Like, hey, look, it's Ovi holding his card that he inscribed. We just witnessed him sign it live and do the inscription. Like, it's really, really cool to see. You brought up those Young Guns buybacks, and there is a sale on it. Do
Oh,
you know what
I
that
don't.
sale is?
I
Take a
don't.
guess. Take a guess. The Young Guns rookie buyback. You remember what the so he scored the goal. I think this was in extended. I want to say, yeah, they put
Yeah.
this in extended, and they had 8 of them. So they were numbered to 8, and they were Young Gun buybacks. So it is the actual Young Guns that was printed, and then he autographed it with the inscription of the goals, and then numbered it to 8. Only one sale on CardLadder currently, back on July 2nd. So it was a summer sale, but July 2nd. What do you think it went for?
So if I remember, I think we talked about the sale.
We
I
might have.
think it was 18,000, if I remember.
Nope. A little higher than that.
Really?
24,000. Yeah,
Okay.
24K.
And do you know who the
$24,000.
buyer is? Because I think I remember who the buyer is. I believe it is John from Mint Inc. was the buyer.
Oh,
You
did he buy
remember
that?
they did a little video. I just want to confirm because I know that he did own one of the 8. Where at the expo this year, or I'm sorry, the expo. Actually, no, it must have been this
Would
year.
have been this year, yeah.
Yeah, he brought it to go and get graded. I'm just looking for it now. So I believe, I don't think I'm going to find this in time, that he was the purchaser of that one in July and then actually went to go grade it in November at the show, I
There we
believe.
go. Yeah, no, could have totally been the case. And well, I guess we'll see what that ended up coming back at. I'd imagine he did on-site grading, so probably could figure out what he got. Probably all over their Instagram there, realistically. Yeah, so the cup, man, it's gonna be a fun rip. It's gonna be a really fun rip for some people. There's a lot of great cards. It's always, it's the top one, right? Like it's the Rolls Royce of hockey cards, and it's expensive. It's out of my price range. I won't be ripping up any cup unless someone wants to sponsor the show and maybe give us a box to rip ourselves. But I'll be excited and I'll be glued to Instagram to see what everyone's pulling and stuff, right? You get the 101 shields as well in the cup, those RPAs. There's so much good stuff to be pulled from the cup. But my luck, I probably would pull like one of the worst RPAs possible and not end up with any type of big hit. So I'm not even going to attempt to open up a box of the cup. All right. You know what? Let's take a break. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Anthony, we're going to come back and we'll be joined by Josh Johnson, the co-founder of CardLadder. So a really fun interview that we've got with Josh Johnson. So we'll do that next here on the Hockey Card Haven podcast. All right, joining us now is Josh Johnson, a co-founder for CardLadder, and we're really excited to have him. So thank you for joining us, Josh. Welcome to the Hockey Card Haven podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Excited to join.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we really dive into what CardLadder is, I want to know a little bit more about you. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and kind of how the idea of CardLadder came to be?
Sure. Yeah, I joined the hobby around 2015, 2016. I came in through Pokemon, believe it or not. This was back when like Pokemon Go was blowing up. Yeah. And it kind of got me to go find my old childhood collection, and then I found like my basketball card collection. So I kind of did Pokemon and basketball at the start, and then now I primarily just do basketball and football. And then I had started a YouTube channel in 2018 where I was interviewing collectors. So I kind of like got into the industry pretty heavy through that, and I started to meet people and build up a network that way. And then I met Chris, the other co-founder, and Christina in 2018, around that same time, 2019. And then during COVID, we started working on CardLadder together. It was actually Chris's initial idea. He was working on like a newsletter where he was reviewing Michael Jordan sales from the PWCC auctions, and he wouldn't like predict the price, but he was like looking at historical sales and kind of seeing where the market trends were headed on specific like PSA 10 copies of inserts, etc. And he was sending out these newsletters, and people were paying for that. And I kind of mentioned to him like, hey, we could like digitize this whole thing and make a site, and you could like post these as graphs, and it could get pretty fancy. Because I come from a tech background. I've worked at Amazon and other like big tech companies on software. So I was like, I could build this into a site, and then people really like that, and it just sort of snowballed from there, you know.
Yeah, no, that's pretty solid. I mean, it's a great website and it's a really good app. I know both Anthony and I are both members. We subscribe to CardLadder monthly, and for me, like I think it's almost a must-have product for anyone who takes the hobby seriously, whether you're sports, TCG, whatever it is, hockey, football, basketball. I think that CardLadder has become kind of the premier comping kind of source at the very least. Like how excited are you for how quickly you've been able to turn, what was at one point, I guess, just a thought, an idea, a project into kind of an industry leader in this aspect?
Yeah, the three of us as co-founders really see ourselves as collectors. So we never really went into it with the drive to like make a business per se. It was more like this tool was helpful for us as collectors, and the community really enjoyed it. And it sort of like enhanced our experience in the hobby. And we thought it was like useful for our friends, and like we had like a beta launch where it was just like our friends and stuff, and they all seemed to enjoy it. And then as we kind of like kept it going, we launched sales history, and that kind of like really started to take off. And obviously now it's like you said, it's kind of a mainstay, which is exciting for us. And we really get a kick out of that, just kind of like seeing collectors use it a lot. And like one of our favorite things is to go to National and just sort of like see how people are using it, see what they might not like about it, what we can improve. Like most of our improvements come from us just like walking the show floors and like seeing people use it and getting frustrated with whatever it is. And I'll just be like, I'll fix that in my hotel room tonight.
Give us an example. I want an example. Like clearly something, what comes to mind, something that you've done that with?
So the big thing is that I didn't realize how many people use like the camera search at shows. I thought people were like typing more. So like I would see people at the shows like clicking 2 buttons to get to the camera, and I'm like, that's so annoying watching you do that. I want to like fix this immediately. So I made like the camera button front and center on the app, where you only have to click it once. You don't have to like mess it. You don't have to go into settings or anything like this. So that was one that was like right when I launched that, everyone's like, finally, now I don't have to click twice. And it's small things like that that as like a UI developer, they drive me nuts. So if they drive me nuts, I'm sure it drives a lot of people crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I obviously just joined CardLadder this week, actually. So me and Mike had a good conversation about it last week, and even at the Toronto Sports Card Expo, he told me about how great it is. And I've kind of struggled with finding comps and just using like eBay. I've dabbled with 130 point a little bit, but always kind of struggled to find like, what has sold, what's been paid for, what's the history past. I feel like after a card sells 3 months ago, I can never find that sale ever again. So the number one thing for me going and using CardLadder is I could look at sales from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Like I can go in the past of this particular card and see what it's been sold for. So I found that particularly important for me. But to go back on that question that you talked about with the technology background that you have, what do you think CardLadder is going to develop into in the next 3 to 4 years? Because obviously it's always going to be developing. And I don't know if any listeners have noticed, but the technology aspect of the hobby has really taken over. So
Yeah.
for CardLadder and for your company, how are you going to kind of follow that and ride that wave?
Yeah, we don't look ahead too much like most traditional companies. We don't have like big long roadmaps. We kind of go week by week, to be completely honest with you. But we can't ignore sort of like the AI shift of the world, and how we might incorporate more of the AI stuff into our searching. Our big thing next is like trying to, I don't know if you're familiar with like the features where it's like you take a picture of a PSA card and we show you the sales of PSA, BGS, SGC, and CGC. So like we have this sort of like network of mapping all these cards together. And next we're trying to do the same for raw cards, and we're going to be exploring some AI stuff for that. So that's probably like our biggest thing. That doesn't really answer the question of 3 to 4 years. The hobby is like, it's hard to say where the hobby in general is going in the next 3 to 4 years. Obviously, as a basketball and football collector, we're dealing with the shift to Fanatics from Panini. So like
Yeah.
we're kind of just like, for us as collectors, we're waiting to see what that's going to mean long term. Like what sort of parallels they focus on, what sort of things they push for collectors or maybe like investors or breakers and things like that. So we're trying to like let the dust settle on that, and then we'll just kind of create the features that spring up from that.
Well, I guess that it's interesting because the hockey card hobby has really just been owned by Upper Deck since
Yeah.
2013-14. They've had exclusivity rights to that IP and to that property. And I'm curious, I guess, since you're seeing that shift and that, I don't know, this, you don't know what's going to happen. Do you think that the hockey card hobby, like the health of it, is it healthy because Upper Deck is kind of the staple and the mainstay and it's been there, and does that kind of enhance it from a hobby perspective in your opinion?
You guys would know better than me on Upper Deck. I obviously come from I collect LeBron, so I'm like very familiar with the 03 to 09 Upper Deck
Mhm.
offerings for basketball. So that's like one of my favorite eras of sports cards, is like that very specific window of Upper Deck specifically, even more so than Tops and like Bowman and stuff. I really enjoyed Upper Deck. So I would assume that it's still very good for you guys. You have like the RPAs and the cup stuff. So in terms of like how the hobby outlook goes from keeping a consistent company to a shift, um I think like the basketball and football collectors feel like the Panini run was like long enough. Like it went from like '09 to till now, which is like one
Mhm.
of the longer runs we've had for these two. So I think people feel like comfortable with some of these like parallels and lineages coming to an end, and sort of like the finality of only having a specific number of Black Prism 101s, for example, and not having to like continue to chase that run and being able to like start over with superfractors or whatever. So I think a lot of collectors are excited about that. Fanatics has displayed that they are focused on collector specific things, like the MLB debut patch, and then now they're doing like this Kings thing where you if you like get the 3 best cards of a guy, they'll like make a card for you. So there's these cool like initiatives they're taking. So I think it's like sadness of Panini leaving, but we're like enjoying what we had and the finality of it, like I said, and then like the anticipation. But for you guys, like you have to tell me like if there's anything you're looking more from Upper Deck. If not, I would say like you're probably doing okay.
Good, Anthony.
Yeah, and I think I was going to mention too a little bit of my first days of using the CardLadder app, and one of the things that really stood out was the index. So I'm looking at it right now, and it's the CL50. It's called, so 50 hand-selected cards that best represent the card market. And I didn't know that CardLadder actually offered this, but it gives a really good scope of how the hobby is performing. And I'm looking right now at the 6-month growth, a rate of 28%, which is obviously great. But my question for you is, how were these 50 cards picked? Do you have a little bit of say in that? Do you kind of do a little bit of background research and interchange the players maybe every 6 months? Because it kind of seems a little bit like a ETF sort of in stocks.
I actually picked all those myself. I'm like
Hey.
frantically looking through it to make sure the hockey cards are like up to your guys' standards. I see Lemieux, I see Crosby, I see
Yeah,
Ovechkin,
Gretzky's in there.
Gretzky's
Yeah,
obviously in there. Yeah, they're like Bobby Orr. They're like the quote unquote like boring cards, like the high pop. That was
Grails
on
though.
purpose.
Those are the Grails.
Yeah, this was on purpose though because we wanted an index that was represented with cards that transact frequently, so you could get like daily updates on what's happening with these cards. I think we've changed the cards that comprise it once, and we haven't changed it since. We don't want to change it because we want you to be able to look at it now today and like compare it in the future and not like have to worry about whether we changed anything. So like if you log in at 2 years from now, you'll have the context of what you knew before and you'll be able to see the change. We're still not even back. You said it's up 26% or whatever. We're still not even like close to the peak of March 1st, 2021, which is kind of crazy.
Wow. 2021 was insane. Like the COVID, post-COVID coming out of it, like the big boom was absolutely insane across the board. But it's funny because I think that we're not close to it, but I feel like it's trending in that direction. Like, I don't know, I guess football and basketball, like we're seeing some big cards go, like that Jordan Kobe logo man just sold, which I believe is the highest paid for a card of all time. And in hockey, we were just talked about this earlier in the show, how in November we saw some massive sales in the hockey card hobby. So although yes, we're not at those peak of 2021, it feels like it's starting to get back there, or we're trending in that direction. I guess that was kind of what I was trying to get to before. I mean, like your overall opinion of the health of the hobby and where it's heading.
If you look at that CL50 index that I mentioned, the peak was like the value is 35,000, which is kind of an arbitrary number. It's not like anything specific. It's sort of like an average composition value wise, but it's not like a dollar. It's like a number. So the peak was 35,000 and today it's 16,000. You might think, oh, we've had this great run and we're still like not even halfway. But if you go to other indexes, like the high end index, for example, which is comprised of cards valued over 5,000, the peak was 24,000 and now it's at 23.4. So the thing that I would point out is like the hobby is healthier in that in the 2020, 2021 boom, it was basically like everything went up, no matter the population, no matter what the card was, basically like everything went up. And this time around, it's more focused on like rare, high end, very specific cards and like less prospecting on Zion and John Morant from the basketball world. Like people got crushed on guys like that and they're a little bit more hesitant this time around. So I would say it's like more intelligent, more focused buying this cycle around. So I would say it's healthier than before.
So I want to get your thoughts, I guess, on like how to navigate CardLadder, because I think that is something where new people that come to the hobby, or maybe someone who tries it out, don't necessarily understand all of the features and tools that are available. So I'm just going to pull up, we're hockey card show. So I'll pull up the hockey index specifically and just take a look at the numbers. And like, can you explain basically what we are looking at here, whether it's, the index data, the chart over here, like to a layman's, like what are we looking at here? What does this data mean?
So if you look at the total cards, 1,928, that's the cards that comprise the index value. And the index value is basically like an average of the price of all the cards. So it's price weighted. So like if a very expensive card sells for 10 grand one day and then 100 grand the next day, that's a huge jump for that one card, and it's going to like pull the whole index up. And then we use similarly to how like the S&P 500, how like stock market indexes work, we use the divisor method, and that's just to explain for when, like for example, this goes back to 2003, but all 1900 cards didn't exist and weren't like making sales in 2003. So as new cards are introduced, we use the divisor method to like keep these like relatively equal to each other, if that makes sense, so that it's not like spiking as new cards come in, right? It's like keeping an average of all of them. So here you can kind of just see like, for most of these graphs, they like jump up in 2020, 2021, and then they sort of like go down and they level off and come back up. Most of these graphs look pretty similar. So the reason the indexes are so important to CardLadder is it's sort of like the foundation for how we do our CL value stuff. So if like you go to a sales history sale of a hockey card and then you like search for something from like 3 years ago, for example, you'll see like the sold price and the sold date, and then you'll see like the CL value, and the math of that CL value is very simply taking the corresponding index that we mapped it to, which is usually the player index, the value of that index at the date of the sale, and then what it is today, and it's just like applying that delta to the price. So we always want to display like how the indexes are calculated and like the cards that comprise it and how that whole process works, and all of those sales are vetted by our team. So the indexes are like very solid, super stable. We know all the sales that are in there. There's no like bad sales. So the indexes are sort of like I said, the foundation to us calculating the estimated value for everything else that may not be in the system.
So you mentioned the word bad sales, and that's something that stuck out to me too. So I assume that bad sales is maybe unpaid cards, cards where, maybe cards were altered of some sort, I assume, but evidently it's the card wasn't correctly sold. So let's say, for example, a card wasn't paid for. So looking at a couple comps last night just throughout the CardLadder platform, would you say, or is it that all of the cards on the website are all paid for? They've all been confirmed paid for?
Nope. So I don't think anyone will ever be able to say that with certainty. So if you go to like the ladder, the ladder is like our card profiles that we manually verify, and these are the cards that comprise the index. So this is like 70,000 cards. It's like a specific set of cards. It's not every card. So these are the ones that we actually like manually review. We have like a team of people, including our co-founders, that look at this stuff every night, and they go through all these card profiles and they review these sales that come in for each and every one. Those are the ones that we put like a green check on. So if you find a sale in sales history with a green check, like go to the filter on the right, and then there's a drop down. If you scroll down, no, you had it. Go back. Scroll down on the filter side. There's one that says like oh, sorry. Go to sales history. I'm sorry. You're on the ladder.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Go to sales history and then do verified, and then and then click apply, and then search McDavid. Okay, so now you'll get like all the verified McDavid sales. So these are ones that our team has actually looked at. So that's what the green check means. It means that someone in our team has looked at it, and we're like, this sale is, to the best of our knowledge, this sale is good. And if it doesn't have a check, it doesn't mean that it's not paid. It just means that we haven't looked at it, but we do our best to like, there's certain platforms like Alt, for example, they only send it to us when it has been like paid for sure. And the same for Card Hobby. So we do have some sources where they won't even send it to us unless it's like they've verified it in their database that it's paid. But like eBay, for example, we don't have that kind of setup. So like we do our best with eBay to remove like unpaid stuff as best we can. And when people send us stuff, they'll send us like screenshots of, hey, I actually sold this and it was canceled, and I'll remove it when we have the proof, for example. So it's just like, we will like respond to customers in that way. So we're always like doing our best to stay on top of that.
It's really good to hear, and I think that gives people confidence when using, CardLadder. And I guess like for those who maybe don't have a membership, and there's probably a bunch of people who are listening to the podcast, watching on YouTube, and are on the fence, or maybe they're just they've been eBay people or 130 people, and they're just for whatever reason maybe not as aware that this exists. Apparently, Anthony up until 2 weeks ago, although I've been telling him for a year to hop on the CardLadder train. And now he texts me every day. He's like, "Oh, did you see CardLadder doing this? Oh, I was checking this out." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I know. I've been telling you." But like for those who maybe don't have a membership, and Anthony and we've talked about it before, but I'm curious from your perspective, and you might be a little biased, but for those who are maybe on the fence about it or don't know much about it, like what's your pitch to selling people on CardLadder?
So as like the engineer designer of the team of like the software itself, my pitch is usually that like the app and the website are just like a little bit easier to use for everybody. It's almost like you're just, from my perspective, from the rest of our team, you're paying for like the data integrity, you're paying for like the work that we've put in and vetting all the sales. That's all great. From my perspective, you're paying also for the like niceties of using the app itself versus like trying to search on eBay and like trying to figure out what best offer is or 130 point. It's a little bit like tougher to navigate some of the apps of some of these other ones. I just feel like the app itself is like a lot smoother and cleaner. The UI is easier to use. Taking a picture with the camera is like fairly quick and snappy. So I focus very heavily on the like usability of the app and the experience of the users. So I feel like you're kind of paying for like the packaging of how easy it is to find sales pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I would agree. And as someone who, shows up and I vend at shows, I clearly walk the floor, I buy. I think that it's something that almost if you vend for sure, you should have it. But also as, an experienced collector, I highly recommend it for sure. Couple questions that I have about it though, and like you said, you're always looking for feedback, and I guarantee you these questions. I'm not brand new with these. You've probably heard them and answered them a bunch of times before, but like at some point, like, I guess, why are some players and some cards on the ladder and some aren't? Like, I think in a perfect world, you could look up the card history and see that price chart of every single card. I'd imagine that would be extremely difficult to do. But I guess like what's outside of time and money, like I guess what's the reason for it? Is that a goal to be adding players and cards to the ladder as we go? Like what's the situation there?
Our goal is more so adding players than cards because we'll never be able to catch up to all the cards. But for players, we're trying to have an index for all like the main players so that at least you could have the index calculation be more accurate. Because if it doesn't use the player index, I think it falls back to CL50, which is like less accurate for estimating on a specific card. So our primary goal is like players. How we choose them is kind of just like, it's up, like our research team handles that, Chris and the team. So he would probably be able to answer that better, but I think it's more like popularity, volume of requests of what people are looking for, hot players of the week, etc. We know that that's like a sticking point for a lot of people is we don't have all of them. We could like map the graphs for all cards that are graded. Like if you like click on a graded card sale from that McDavid example, like there's a button that says go to sales history.
So if I go to the 10,
go to sales history. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Oh,
yeah,
sales.
Yeah, and then click on that first one, and then scroll down and click. Go to the second sale or the third sale. This one's too new. Yeah, that one. Okay, so see the view sales. Click on same grade. So this is like how we are connecting this specific card to all copies of that exact card. So like you can kind of like recreate a ladder card yourself using this feature.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do like a search with a cert number at the top, there's like that little pound sign. If you do a search for a cert, it's going to do the same thing that you just did here. Okay. So this kind of like generates this like ladder card profile for you on the fly. So like I probably in the future will have like a button on the top that's like, show me a graph of all these sales of this exact card, and just like make a graph representation and sort of like recreate the ladder profile of this, because we can do that.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool feature.
Right.
To I guess kind of improve, because everybody likes a nice tidy graph, and especially for like someone like me, I also, I mean, we have this podcast, and visually it's a lot easier to show a graph of like the
Yeah,
sales, but
totally.
also like I also write for the hockey news, and it's nice and tidy when I can find a graph with the visual and then go based off of the graph. So I just think that it just allows for better visuals, maybe from that perspective. That's maybe a selfish thing on my end, but I think it's just easier to see like, hey, it's way up, or hey, it's way down, or look at all the sales, it's yo-yoing, or whatever it may be, without having to just scroll and look and find it that way.
Totally. We could even do it on the like sale on the, like if you pull up a sale on the right side of the screen, we could generate the graph there as well, just like we do on the ladder card. It's actually like not super difficult, so I'll write that down.
Oh, that's hilarious. Josh, really appreciate taking the time to join us today, just to tell us a little bit more about CardLadder, and taking time to speak with us. Is there anything that you wanted to get across? Anything that maybe we didn't ask you about that you want the listeners and viewers to know about you, or about CardLadder itself?
No, I think you covered most of it. Just maybe that we love to hear support from the hockey industry. Like Chris and I usually talk about basketball and football, and we
Yeah.
neglect the other sports, not because we don't want them represented in CardLadder. It's just that we just don't know those sports as well. So I love hearing that there's support from these other communities. I know Pokemon community uses CardLadder. It's nice to hear the hockey community use it. So
Oh yeah.
anything else we can do to support the hockey community, we for sure are on board. So don't let our lack of knowledge of hockey shun you away from using CardLadder.
Yeah, I mean the hockey index up 6% year to date, so it's nice that the hobby's going in a positive direction. And is it getting more popular down in the States? Do you think, could that be a reason why we're seeing an uptick? Like, what are you noticing? I guess as a collector, like you go to shows, I'm sure. Like, are you seeing a little bit more hockey pop up? Is there more? I guess if you are more familiar with the back end of CardLadder, do you see more searches on hockey nowadays? Like, is your data tell you anything about that?
I think McDavid really helps with that. For someone like myself that doesn't know a ton about hockey, to see him in the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row gets me to
Mhm.
watch, because it's like, you guys tell me, but I'm assuming he's like one of the more exciting, better, younger players. So like see him on the finals in that stage is exciting for me to go watch, just because it's something that at least I can understand. So I think that's been helping a lot. And then Jeremy Lee, I think has been pushing it pretty well when he's down in the States at these shows. So he's a great representative of the hockey collector community as well. As far as like representation in the data, I'd say it's like a pretty steady increase. Like it's nothing drastic. It's more of like a healthy, like linear growth, like the 6% like you see, which for me, I prefer that over the like, giant
Well,
ups and downs.
yeah, it's more like standard inflation, as
It
opposed to the volatility of the massive
right.
jump peaks and valleys, right?
It's outpacing inflation. How about that?
Yeah, which, hey, that's good. So for those who are holding, it just continues to go. I mean, 6%, like that's pretty good. Like if your stocks are operating in the 6% ish range, you're not upset about that. So
Right.
that's what you like to see on an average scale. Hey, have you got one more question?
I was going to throw in a little bit of a request here. So a couple years ago, I had a idea where I spent about like 2 months pretty much calculating all the raw comps for particularly hockey cards compared to the PSA 10 values of these same hockey cards. And I wanted to kind of find, I mean, it took me forever to do it, but a little bit of a difference between a raw to a PSA 10 copy, and then find those population rates and kind of find that one card that I could grade a bunch and have a good percentage. So one request a little
Multiplier.
bit that maybe I'd like to see in the future is, and obviously it might come from those higher end players and the higher end cards like you talked about, some of Connor McDavid's better cards like his Young Guns or his Future Watch, what that might look like from a percentage from his raw copy to a PSA 10. like, oh, it's a 80% growth from a raw to a 10, and maybe trickle down to some of the players that have sold less and less. Obviously, aiming after, Connor McDavid, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, focusing on those players. But I think that would be a really cool feature that, I tried to work on, but it took me way too much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the industry tab where we show like high level, total sales volume for the month. It shows like how many cards sold per day, etc. I've thought about putting like overall ratios of grading companies and raw on that page, but it's just like it's kind of just like too generic of a number. It's like, oh, the raw to PSA 10 for every card sold is like 3x or whatever. Like, what does that actually mean? I think what you're talking about is more granular of like, I want to pick a specific card and like see the ratio, or them being able to do it like across a player or like some specific subset of cards. So that's an interesting
Exactly.
thought. Yeah.
Exactly. Like a collector might look at a $100 card and a raw copy that
Right.
one grades into a $450 card, the other grades into a $1,500 card. What's the percentage of you actually getting that 10 and you finding those cards? So just a little bit of an idea, but I thought that
Yep.
was pretty cool.
There's definitely like a magic formula that takes into account the like sales volume of the raw, the sales volume of the PSA 10, and then like the population reports, like the ratio is thinner the smaller the number of copies of the card, or like the gem rate, for example, if the PSA 10 gem rate is 5%, the ratio is bigger. Obviously, like, so there's some sort of formula within there, I think.
Hey, maybe something you might have put Josh onto something. You might have put him onto something, maybe. Perhaps this will become something, and you can sit there, Anthony, and be like, hey, I may have
my idea.
I might have inspired this.
We've had that before. People come up in shows and they'll be like, that was my idea, and I could put a face to it. So that's fun.
Oh, that's funny. That's actually that's cool. Josh, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time. And thank you for building this incredible platform that not just me and Anthony, but there's a lot of collectors and friends of mine in the hobby that really appreciate the app. It saves us a lot of time. It saves us a lot of time, and we're thankful for it. So appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to how the app will continue to evolve in the future. So thank you for your time, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
Yep. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Anthony.
Well, that was a great chat we had there with Josh Johnson, co-founder of CardLadder. I really enjoyed that chat with Josh. Seems like a good dude, and it sounds like he's excited about the path of where the hobby's going, the journey that the hobby's going down. And obviously, he's from the States, so he's not a big hockey guy, but it's nice to hear that he looks at the health, right? That 6% that the hockey index has seen growth year to year. It's like, that's really healthy, right? It's a lot better than the, Pokemon and basketball and football and baseball. Those things, very volatile. Seems like hockey has maybe one of the more healthier indexes and markets, which is good for us, right? It's definitely good for us.
Yeah, I think it gives a good idea of how the hobby's doing. Obviously, for us, for hockey, to kind of look at a couple players, how they perform, in the market, and don't even try and sneak Pokemon in there doing this, because what we've seen in the past 2 years is just straight rocketing from Pokemon. So I need to see more of that from the hobby in the hockey market. But yeah, that was a great chat. I really appreciate Josh coming on. I had a really good time chatting with him, and excited to use the app, because I'm newly added member to it, and I'm fired up.
Yeah, I'm glad we got some answers though, because I even me, like I've been on the app for a year. I know the sales history pretty well. Like obviously it's very simple to use. The usability is very easy, but the indexes and the ladder, those, it takes some time to learn and figure out what everything means. So it was nice actually to get him to straight up tell us like, hey, what do these numbers mean? I was excited to find that out, because I actually wanted to know for myself what all this data and information means and why it's important. So appreciate to Josh, and we'll have him on again at some point, I'm sure. All right, before we wrap up, a couple pickups. Did you have any pickup? You didn't go to any shows this weekend, no? So no pickups for you? I I set up at a show and I did some pickups and some buying. Did a really cool trade, actually. Did like a big trade where it was cards only to show my pickups that I had this weekend. A nice little lot here that I was able to grab, but I made a trade for a Leon Draisaitl PSA 10 Young Gun and a Nate McKinnon PSA 9 Young Gun, and it was straight cards for cards, no cash involved, and it was just a fun way for me to move out, some cards that maybe have been sitting around a little bit or have gone up in value recently, and I was able to move them out into some pretty premier players realistically, and Nate McKinnon and Leon Draisaitl. So I was happy to make that trade. Couple of buys, got me an OV auto number to 25. I had never actually owned an Alex Ovechkin auto, so that's kind of my first OV auto that I was able to get. And I picked up a Smooth Grooves here, Anthony. Another one with Smooth Grooves. Yeah. The collection, the PC, the new PC for that year. So, couple nice cards. This Macklin Celebrini. I was shocked to see what this is comping for, to be completely honest with you. This Macklin Celebrini Artifacts rookies number to 399. Now it's the redemption. So when you get artifacts, they're all redemption cards. So this is rookie redemption 1, which is probably why it holds the value that it does. But I was shocked to see that this little dual napkin, patch goes for $100. Like, I know it's Macklin, I know it's a rookie card, but it's just simple little napkin patches. It's numbered to 399, so it's not like it's super short printed. I was quite shocked to see that that's a $100 card. But anyways, picked one up because Macklin Celebrini is on fire, and I'll continue to pick up some Macklin along the way. So those are my pickups this week. It was a really cool, fun show. Any shows you're hitting up this weekend, though, Ant, in the GTA area?
Markham show maybe on Saturday. Not too far. Thinking about it, considering it. It's a pretty good show. I believe they're doing it at a new location, too. But I've been there a couple times. A lot of Pokemon, a lot of basketball, but there's always some good sales of hockey there. I haven't been to a show in like 2 or 3 weeks, so I feel like I got to stop by.
Yeah. I think I'm probably end up taking the weekend off. I got some Christmas plans that I got this weekend, so, Christmas parties for work and all that. So going to be an enjoying weekend, kind of take a step back, probably go to the card show or the card store at some point, but no shows for me this weekend. 2 weekends from now, though, I'll be set up at the M&L card show. I think it's on the 21st. So for anyone who wants to, kind of roll through, I'll be set up at that show. All right, Anthony, good stuff. A couple things that we wanted to get into today, but running out of time. We'll get into it tomorrow or next week, rather, including a potential new show that's popping up. That could be a big one in the city of Toronto. So we'll get into that next week. But that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe right here on YouTube. You can also subscribe to the Hockey Card Haven podcast on Apple Podcasts and also on Spotify. We'll be back next Wednesday with another edition of the Hockey Card Haven podcast.